Hello, one and all, and welcome back. Yes, back to the Great Unknown Audio Show with me, your illustrious host and most appropriate face for radio, Maxim Jennings. And you join me in the Shire, in Hobbiton, by the Green Dragon pub of all places, as I've just concluded my movie set tour of this amazing fantasy world that has come to life since the recording of The Hobbit. It's almost 10 years it's been around for, and it's been an absolutely fantastic day. And I'll just tell you a little bit about it. The tour's been 2.5 hours long. The movie set is actually Hobbiton 2.0 because they tore down The Lord of the Rings about a week after filming their final shot where Samwise picks up his in real life daughter, and they then got rebuilt. So that's where we are today. This is day 2 of my New Zealand tour, which has been pretty good so far. So nothing really eventful on the first day, and then today has been building up to this moment, which has been absolutely fantastic. And we find ourselves finishing off a lovely stout from the Green Dragon after going through almost 50 hobbit holes of observation, and being able to go inside one as well. And that was really fun. They kind of made up that experience, which is only opened about 6 months ago. So that was really cool to see all of the details that Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens, the directors, were able to come up with, make up their own stories, and then you could do an immersive hobbit hole experience, which wasn't here for the last 9 years. So that was pretty cool. And then obviously got to go see Bag End, the home under the hill on Bagshot Row. But the tour was mainly based around The Hobbit because it was obviously remade for that purpose, and so some of the kind of places weren't involved, but mainly had the party area from Bilbo's 11th birthday. That was still intact. They said they had 100 extras for that scene over 4 days and 3 nights. And a very booze-induced scene, which I'm glad to hear, because that would be in true Hobbit fashion. No old Toby or long bottom leaf to smoke. Unfortunately, I thought that would be a nice thing to add to this experience, but it's got everything you can ask for, this place, and it's absolutely wonderful setup, and the day has been fantastic for it, and that has been so important, because if it was pouring down with rain, it wouldn't have ruined my mood, but it might have ruined everyone else's. And we've done the afternoon one, and it's almost the perfect time on a Saturday to visit the Green Dragon for a mid-afternoon pint before going back and eating all the cheese from the cheese wheel, as the dwarfs do in The Hobbit. But yeah, we've acted like a proper tourist today, taking as many photos as possible, probably more photos than I took in the whole of Australia. So that's been very nice, and I am not ashamed at all. I know I call out and criticise tourists a lot for taking so much time, but this actually meant something to me, so it's something that I tried to savour as much as possible. It's very busy for the off season, so I can't imagine how busy it would be when it's in season. Obviously it's winter in New Zealand here, so it kind of puts off lots of the tourists from coming, but it's been a beautiful day. We're right by the mill, which is right next to the bridge that leads you to the Green Dragon. It's a beautiful setup, and it's actually part of a farm that's actually working sheep and cow farm. So the Hobbiton set is on the Alexander farm, which is it only takes up a 1/12 of the actual farm altogether, but probably makes more money than the farm does by about 10 times, based on how much it costs. But yeah, it's fantastic setup, and it's good to see that it's still part of a working land. So yeah, day 2 of the tour. The tour's gone pretty well so far. This was a tour that came out of the budget from my 18th birthday rewards. I know. So it's been 5 years in the making, this tour. It started pretty well, apart from I was 2 hours late to the meeting point, which was the hostel I was staying at, because I didn't get a time to join the rest of the party from Trailfinders, so that was a great start. And I didn't have an itinerary for the last 4 weeks because they changed my itinerary, as I was meant to be going from Christchurch to Auckland. They then switched it around on me as not enough people joined the group, so I went from going from Auckland to Christchurch, which meant that they hadn't changed the itinerary from the first one, and then decided to take that itinerary off, so I couldn't even work in reverse. So that was great. Fantastic start, looking like an absolute prat, having to apologise for everyone for being late, and then yeah, less said about that the better. But yeah, we're going on to, we've got another 15 days of this tour, and it's been incredible. So I'm really happy with this experience. I got to see Samwise's house. I mean, that's all been up there for me. Final scene, walk through where Gandalf and Frodo go for the first time, have a pint at the Green Dragon. I mean, everything's ticked the boxes. The bucket list moment has been achieved, and seeing Bag End from the bottom of the hill at the top of the hill, oh God, magnificent view. Want to savour for the rest of my forever. So we have to leave the tour now, so I'll probably do a second segment when we get back to the accommodation, and tell you probably a bit about a few of the members, as we've got some absolute characters, but they are quite close in proximity to me, so yeah, we'll leave that for a quieter venue as I take one more look before handing my pint back to the Green Dragon. Oh God, fantastic stuff. Beautiful setup. Great. Right, so I'm now in the city where we're staying for tonight, called Rotorua, after finishing a fantastic afternoon. It was actually really nice that it was in the afternoon, because by the time we finished, we were one of the final groups finishing, so it didn't actually feel like there was many people there, so I could take some nice photos, embrace it in some sort of peace and quiet. As I'd mentioned, we were quite a big group for the one tour guide, so it must have been about 35 people. A lot of them were kind of Chinese tourists, so they were incredibly respectful, to be fair to them, for other tour groups that I've been on, but their English wasn't great, so they had a Chinese tour guide, which, fair enough, but it's a bit frustrating, but you can't really do anything about that, so I was trying to keep that at the back of my mind, but yeah, nonetheless, really good experience. So yeah, I guess let me tell you a bit about the group I'm on. So there's only 7 of us, which is like, I think compared to other groups they get around the time of the year, it's a really small group. So that has its advantages and disadvantages when you're on a tour, because obviously the more people there are, the more different personalities you have, kind of a great variety of people you get to meet, which is great. But in terms of efficiency and doing lots of stuff and not wasting time, that obviously has its downsides. But I think 7's, like, the people are all very nice. Everyone's kind of from a different country. There are 2 Germans, an Austrian, a Thai lady, an American and a Canadian. So we're not too kind of English, so I'm in English, which is good, because you go into an English-speaking country, you expect to meet lots of other English tourists, but that's not to be the case, which is nice, because you don't feel like you're one of many, and in fact one of few. I guess because New Zealand is so bloody far away from absolutely anywhere, it doesn't really make a difference where you're from. But yeah, so, and the Austrian, right, let me tell you about the Austrian. His name's Klaus, great name, great, fantastic name. An older gentleman, but from what I've seen so far, this man wants to do absolutely everything. Like, with the tour, there's a lot of add-on activities: skydives, bungee jumping, kayaks. It's called the it's not called adrenaline, but it's like one of those adrenaline activity-based tours. So, and he wants to do everything. This guy's clearly like the other side of 50, probably retired, and just wants to have like a holiday of a lifetime, and I don't blame him. His English isn't great, and he does wear some strange attire at times, but he seems incredibly nice, and well, I think hopefully we'll kind of get to learn a bit more about it, because he's such a mysterious character. Like, he wears very mysterious clothing, lots of kind of layers, so I haven't really seen his face much. But it's a traveller's tour, and by that I mean, like, we're all staying in hostels, but he's got his own kind of quarters and rooms and stuff, so he keeps himself to himself a lot of the time, and yeah, it's very interesting. And then we have another Thai lady. She's a professor back in Thailand, but is working on her research in New Zealand, in Christchurch at the moment. So she's only on here for the week, but she seems very nice, slightly older. So kind of a mix of an older and younger crowd, which is nice. For 7 people, it's very diverse. And yeah, it's just it's not all the personnel I expected from this type of tour, which is kind of advertised as very high level, high energy. And then we've got our tour guide, Don Robbie, as I call him. He wears a leather jacket and cowboy hat wherever he goes, so you can't miss him. He's got some stories. Whether the stories are actually entertaining is another question, because you know there are some people in the world where they tell a story and you're expecting the climax to happen, which is something that you have in your mind because we are taught by the media to kind of blow everything up, and then it's a pretty normal story and you're almost underwhelmed, not by the fault of the storyteller because he's being truthful in the way it's being told, but that's just the way it is. And he has a lot of those stories, and it's like, okay, was it really worth you telling me that for about 5 minutes? But yeah, oh well. So yeah, that's the kind of group. And then we've got a few students kind of similar age to me. I'm probably a bit older than some of them, but oh well. And well, so yeah, day 1 not that eventful. Went to some called Hot Beach. So it was this part of New Zealand is very much known for its hot pools and hydrothermal energy, which means that a lot of heat comes from the mountains. And so we went to a beach which is right next to a cliff edge, and then the rocks that go onto the beach provide a lot of hot air, and that gets kind of put into the sand, and so the sand is really hot, and then it makes the water really hot when the tide's coming in. And then so we did that, and then I, obviously in true sporting fashion, did a few hot cold treatments from going into the cold sea and then back into the geothermal man-made pool, Hacker House made pools, and then back again. So that was good fun. And then tomorrow I've booked to do rafting. So I haven't done rafting in bloody ages. I don't think since I went to what's it called, PGL, Osmington Bay, when I had to make our own raft. So that's what I've got planned tomorrow. I've got an 8 a.m. pickup time, and I thought, yeah, why the bloody hell not? Let's do some rafting. So I'll let you know how that goes. But we had a dinner this evening. It was okay. I had a surf and turf burger with some chips and a few hazy pale ales. Went down nicely, as it's a Saturday, but the group don't seem too inclined to do much of the drinking, which I mean, I can understand, I can appreciate. Like, that's fine with me. So I had a few, and now we're about to go back to the hostel, rest and recover for tomorrow, and get prepared to do it all again. Maybe I can I don't want to be a bad influence, but maybe we can kind of ease them into it with the partying side. Not partying, just having a good time side. Just being British. But I'll let you know how that goes, and then I hope you've enjoyed listening to this one. You'll hear from me in the next one, and goodbye.